member of the 7th District Committee who voted to have Jack as our nominee. So he sent an email to each of us with his curriculum vitae and a list of all his publications and papers that are really impressive. So, and also very diverse in his interests and experience. So I know he's very knowledgeable, and then when we spoke with him and interviewed him and asked him questions, he's very articulate. But the most important thing is he's a good listener, and he wants to know what's important to us in our district too. Can you imagine having a Trammell?
I want to start by thanking Candy and her family for hosting this. Thank you very much. And it's also her birthday. And I want to let her know that I do have a birthday present for her, but she can't open it quite yet. She gets to open it November 4th. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'll tell you that it's big and that it's blue. So, come November 4th, we're going to celebrate your birthday again.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming tonight, because being here means that you're supporting this campaign and you're supporting the idea behind the campaign, which is bigger than me. What's happening in this district is amazing. And as I've traveled around with Audrey and with people who are on the campaign team, I'm just overwhelmed by the energy everywhere. And it's even coming from places like Hanover County, where there is a strong tradition of the opposition there. And so I am bowled over by that, and it's just terrific. But I want to tell you that energy, I think I can safely say, began with some very powerful women in Chesterfield County. And so, you know who I'm talking about. And when November 4th rolls around, and by the way, Brenda, thank you for this wonderful shirt. I have 2 donkeys on my farm, and I've got a Facebook, a picture of me in this shirt with my donkeys. I think that would be great. But I want to let you know that this started with some very motivated, very intelligent, very powerful women in Chesterfield. And I want to thank you again, and I am not going to forget that. Thank you, and believe me, women will be represented well in the 7th District in Congress. I also want to mention that there are some important people with me tonight. My wife Audrey is here. Yay! We made the joke 2 for the price of 1, but really, Audrey has been terrific. She has been such a trooper, and she goes to events and she loves meeting people. And what better companion could you ask for than someone who's smart but also loves the routine of just being everywhere and meeting people, because that's what we're doing every day. Hillary is here, my finance director. Where's Hillary?
I'll go get her. She's on the phone.
Oh, she's
raising money.
Hillary has been terrific. She watches me when I'm making phone calls. You probably know that candidates have to do call time. They have to get money to fuel the campaign. I'm very excited that we think there's money that's going to be coming from big donors, from out of state and other places. But in the meantime, we have to generate money right here in the district.
There she is.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. Sorry.
There's Hillary. Thank you, Hillary. And I won't say that Hillary's mean during call time or anything, but I will say this. She doesn't have to say anything. She just has to have a certain expression, and I know I need to get to work and do what I'm supposed to be doing. But right now, I do want to let you know we're very busy trying to raise money for the next month or 2, because it'll really be important if we get a poll, like we're planning to do. It will really be important to get the infrastructure in place. I know some of you know about the challenge for Be Part of the 50. Has anybody heard of that? Be Part of the 50 means we're asking for 50 people to commit to give $25 per month for the next 4 months. or $100 outright. And we need to make sure we know who you are and what your name is so we can thank you for that. But that will pay for our NGP and van. And if any of you know what that is the nuts and bolts data that helps us target voters, helps us develop strategy, helps us understand the 7th district. So that if you want to be part of that, please make sure that you tag your donation that way, or mark the check, or let me or Hillary know so that we can recognize you as being part of that. We've been talking about that at other events. But there's a lot of exciting things happening in the campaign right now. Most of you heard that my full-time campaign manager, Beth Cope, has been working very hard, and I just have to tell you, the more I get to know her, the more impressed I am. She is unflappable. Audrey and I have sort of deviously tried to think of ways we could flap her. And it hasn't worked yet. And so, again, this is unknown territory to have an election like this with 2 professors from the same school. And so Beth has been tremendous in adjusting to the demands of that. And I've got to say that so far, it really has been a positive campaign. I know that there are plenty of Facebook comments and things like that, but if you look at the general media that's reported about the campaign for the Democrats in this district, it's been very positive. It's been very fair, I thought, to this point. And so we're really enthusiastic about the chances we have for victory this fall. We've got 4 or 5 things that we think really indicate we can win this district. We can have a Democrat. This is a little bit unsettling being up here. Because if I go to Congress, I will be on the ground floor for sure as a rookie. But I also, I don't ever want to be too far away from the people, you know, and we know where that got Eric Cantor in this last primary season. I also want to let you know, on a more positive note, though, that Senator Warner's campaign and my campaign now have a special liaison team, and we are going to be running a coordinated campaign.
Yeah.
So get your Trammell Warner signs and bumper stickers soon. They're going to be a lot of combined efforts. And the great thing about that is, I think you know, Mark Warner has won this district twice in his races. He is someone that we understand has a pattern for winning in this district. And we have a lot to learn from his previous experience, but moreover, the tremendous infrastructure that's in place with the Warner campaign will now benefit our campaign. So we think that's fantastic. I also want to let you know that over the coming months, I am going to be trying to get down here to Chesterfield every chance I get. We have events lined up in all the areas of the district, but the next 2 months, where's Hillary? I'm sure I'll be taking a break from the phones every day, practically, to come into events just like this. So again, let me thank you so much for being here. This is terrific to see so many people come out when it's raining even, and your candidate's late coming from something else. But thank you so much already for your support. I also want to let you know that this Thursday is when we anticipate sending out an email blast to all the volunteers. I've heard different numbers from the website. I heard the number 1,700 at one point. There are so many people that have volunteered to help us that it's literally overwhelming. If you've read anything about history and the late great unpleasantness, when both sides organized to fight in that war, if 1,700 men had showed up at one place, it would have been utter chaos. And they found that when you have that many people involved in something, it's really difficult to get things going in an organized fashion right away. But we are going to be reaching out to all of you this week, and we really appreciate your patience. And you should, in theory, be able to walk into Mark Warner's headquarters and say, I want to help Jack Trammell, and they will have people to direct you right away.
Yes, you can do it right now.
So one of the things I learned is never talk too long. I want to get to meet more of you one-on-one, and again, I really appreciate you being here, Candy and her family. Thanks for hosting, and for all of my wonderful friends in Chesterfield, including the wonderful women of Chesterfield. Thank you so much. I see so many of you tonight. It's terrific. We're going to win this. I promise you.
Are you going to take any questions? questions?
Yes, sure, I can take some questions.
She has one, and then I'm after her.
Yes.
I wanted to say, not only do people come out from a rainy day in Chesterfield, you've also got people in Richmond and Henrico County.
And Hanover, Ashland.
So this is truly a tri-county Central Virginia coalition. This is a 7-district coalition.
All right.
Moms Demand Action, and we tried so hard to meet with Eric Cantor last year when the Senate was debating background checks. And at every turn, he would not meet with us and kept giving us his top legislative aide, who kept telling us that he did not know his own, the representative's stand on background checks. And so it was a dog and pony show because obviously he knew, but he wouldn't tell us and we could never get a meeting. And so what I'm asking you is, it's a very thorny issue. It's an issue that can be controversial. So can you talk about how public you're going to be about? I know Mark Warner's careful about it, but how public you're willing to be about background checks and supporting groups like the Bloomberg, every town, Mom Demand Action, and every town for guns or whatever it is.
Well, first of all, I support background checks, and I am a gun owner. I live on a farm. But I also am a teacher, and I've seen the terrible potential for violence that we have. And I believe also that our mental health epidemic is a tremendous impacting factor on this. But what I'll also say is that you won't have to sit down with an aide. If you want to talk directly to me, we can sit down and we can have a very frank talk about the details of what my stance on this will be. And I promise you reason, because I have seen firsthand in schools, in Hanover and in Lunenburg and other places where I've been, the impact of gun violence.
I mean, we're for Moms Demand Action. A lot of women are gun owners to defend their families, to hunt. That's not the issue. It's making sure they get into the right hands, the background checks.
And I couldn't be more in favor of that. I am absolutely on board with that.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
We've met before, but I just wanted to mention that Susan is part of the local group that got us Brendan's Law.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's rare to have a gun bill signed in Virginia.
No,
And quickly.
That is one that I can't tell you how happy I am that was done. That's a tragedy that should never happen again.
Well, next year we're hoping to get domestic abusers or stalkers to have a cooling off period with guns that makes common sense, because those kinds of crimes escalate. And we got it through the Senate, even Watkins voted for it, but the House, killed it. But next year that's our goal, so maybe we'll get it passed.
I will tell you why this makes me nervous too, being up here. Just an anecdote. Audrey and I traveled to Romania, and we went to the square in Bucharest where the dictator Ceausescu came out and he addressed. And that was where the revolution began, because he demanded their adoration and their applause, and instead they stared up at him in stony silence, and he was flabbergasted, and he turned away, and that was the beginning of the revolution. So that image is in my mind.
That's kind of what happened to Canada.
Stop paying attention.
And I'll come down and mingle in a little bit. Are there any other questions, though, while we're doing this? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Are you going to teach fall semester?
No, we jointly decided that the college, Audrey and myself, that it would be in my best interest to take a temporary leave of absence, and the college has been very, very kind about all of this. And so I will be a full-time candidate for the next 3.5+ months.
Is there a debate planned?
Yes, my understanding is that the college wishes to host a debate.
Perfect.
And I would assume that it might include the third-party candidate, James Clark, who's the Libertarian. I know that there might be more than one event, But I know the college wants to host at least one of them, and it would probably be in October. It would probably be televised, and it would probably be streamed on the internet, so that could be a terrific way for people to get to know the candidates.
Good.
When will you have a headquarters?
When will we have a headquarters? We have about 4 or 5 places right now, and we're trying to decide which one best suits our needs, and we've looked primarily in Chesterfield and in the west end of Richmond, because that's kind of the demographic center of where we would reach out to throughout the district. And we're hoping to have a formal celebration kind of opening in late August, even though we would be functioning earlier than that and having people actually work in that space. We're also going to have satellite offices other places. For example, in Culpeper, there is a space we're going to be working out of. In Orange, there's a space that's been volunteered. There are multiple spaces in Chesterfield that have been volunteered. So we're probably going to have a lot of little places, but the headquarters itself will likely be in Chesterfield or the West End, and will be known officially probably in the next couple of weeks.
And bumper stickers?
Those are ordered, and I don't have them tonight, of course, but I think they're ready. They're at a printer, and my understanding is that we should have those very quickly. Along with signs, palm cards, and all of the traditional accoutrements.
How do we get them? How do we get them?
I assume that we can coordinate with the district chairs and make sure everybody's got equal access to them. And right now, since we're working out of the Democratic Party headquarters of Virginia downtown, we would probably use that as a place where all the boxes and things actually are, but then we would probably find a way to get them to the individual areas.
And when you come to volunteer, we'll have.
Oh, yeah.
That's
definitely.
right.
Yeah, of course.
Most definitely.
Bumper sticker for canvassing.
There's a concerted effort to get money out of politics, specifically super PACs, and have the disclosure of major donors and who they are and how much they give. Would you be on board to?
Reverse Citizens United.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I don't have any issue with disclosure. I think it's important in the process, and so I am only familiar to this point with what we've been required to do for the FEC, which then becomes in part public information. And so to this point, the vast majority of our donations have come from very small donations made by individuals. But I am in favor of disclosure. Yes?
2 years ago, Wayne Powell ran against Eric Canner. We went to Wayne Powell's thing. He won 48% of the vote, which is pretty good. 43.
But who's county?
Anyway, Wayne Powell seemed to say to us that he never got any money from DCCC, and he said that they were sort of not going to go against Canner because they didn't want the Republicans to go against Pelosi. Now that Canner's out of the picture, have you been hearing anything from DCCC or giving you some money at all?
Let me say this. It's different than 2 years ago. But let me also issue a challenge. Part of what the state and the national and what big donors around the country and in the district do is they have a little bit of the attitude of prove you're for real and then we'll help you out. It's kind of the old nugget, if you can't get a job until you have experience. If you don't have experience, you can't get a job. And so for the next month or two, our grassroots efforts at fundraising are critically important because they prove and help us secure what we know is coming and what we have assurance is coming. But they're also expecting us to prove in the next month or two that we can be viable in sustaining ourselves. So it's really important that we keep getting the individual donors in the next month or two. And where's Hillary? Did you hear me say that?
I'm here.
Check.
Yes.
Check that off.
Jack,
Yes.
so will you be going on Rachel Maddow's show?
I heard a rumor that I'm going to be on Chuck Todd this
Oh,
week.
that's Really great.
But Rachel's who I definitely want to meet Rachel. That's
We'll make a photo.
Well, let us know, with emails.
I will. These email blasts are going to start coming out regularly.
Also, there's a Jack Trammell for Conversation page, and there's also a Women for Trammell Facebook page.
I like
And
that.
all of that, the daily stuff, so, you can go on there, like it, and it'll start showing up on your newsfeed. So there's a couple of ways to stay plugged in.
Definitely.
While the formal website is getting up and out. Because his website is still under development, but.
Jack Trammell has 5,000 or 6,000 more likes than Brad.
That's the kind of beans that D-Trip is counting. They want to see the likes, so go home and like Jack Trammell, go home and like Women for Pal, and tell your friends to do the same, because they're looking for
We're still ingrained. Women for Pal.
Women for Trammell. You want to make sure you like that and you tell your friends to like it, because they're looking for the numbers.
And I'm guessing there's not a Women for Brat.
17 likes.
Yeah. And they're all his family members.
Probably a T site for
Christian Castle's page for Brett.
I do want to mention that my dog is an important part of my life. I love my Border Collie Ranger.